Emu is the devil? And I said, back when the Five Elders showed up and were literal devils, that Blackbeard had to for sure be a Cerberus at this point. Oh yes, ain't no arguments. We got a Greek god dragon. We got fucking Loki. Oh yes, baby. I'm telling you, Blackbeard is going to be a three-headed dog. Watch. Watch, bitch. And he never sleeps. Watch my Blackbeard and Cerberus theory video if you ain't seen it before. Now let's get into this One Piece chapter, because my God, the lore is crazy.
I left everything I own in one piece.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for One Piece, the treasure that would make their dreams come true.
Yo!
Dreaming. Don't give it up, Luffy. Don't give it up, Solo. Don't give it up, Nami. Don't give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up.
Here's how the story goes. We find out about a treasure in the Grand Line, there's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing, I'll be king of the pirates, I'm gonna be king.
His name is Luffy.
That's Monkey D. Luffy.
King of the pirates. He's made of rubber.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum. His name's Zolo, he's just like a samurai and a L-A-D-Y. Nami's not shy. Usopp's doing that marksman thing. Sanji's cooking, Chopper's doctoring.
Set sail for One Piece. It's the name of the treasure in the Grand Line. Set sail for One Piece.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm your host Shinry, here at the Everything Anime Podcast. I'm everything from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and a relevant topic we're going to talk about. Today's video is on One Piece chapters 1171 to 1179. The one who sat on the throne and Chopper's new power? Nah. Let me be honest, because it's been a minute since I talked about One Piece, and One Piece has been dropping weekly. The reason why I have been talking about One Piece lately is because I feel like as much as cool stuff we were learning, since the backstory of Loki's past and God Valley, I felt like there wasn't too much really happening. I actually thought, like, is this the end of Elbaf by, like, chapter 77? I was like, is that how it ends? Is this how it all wraps up? I was a little disappointed. Then 1178 piqued my interest, and I was about to start reviewing again, but I said, let me wait. I have a reveal that we finally gonna see Emu's face in the next chapter, and thank God I was right. I'm glad I waited, because now we can do this one epic giant video. I also have to say, I know I'm behind on the Shaman King videos. I know Shaman King Volume 5 should have came out last month. I'll get back onto that. I'm going on vacation. Had a little bit of a hiccup, got a little tired, got a little exhausted, but, you know, I'm getting back into the videos and stuff like that, so don't worry. I got that coming to you guys very, very soon. Anyways, let's now get into this video. So, the last place we left off, Luffy and Loki were going crazy down in the underworld, while the others were being informed by Scopper Gabbin of the events on the surface. You know, Luffy and Loki, they showing off each other's powers. Luffy showing off his Gear 5th form. Loki showing off his, like, form that we didn't get to see. We got kind of teased. We didn't know what it was. And then, you know, Chopper fell down there, or he was chasing, I think, somebody down there. Scopper Gabbin fell down. He got knocked down by St. Summers because St. Summers wouldn't hurt his child. He wouldn't risk killing St. Summers because St. Summers was hurting his child, and he held back in that brief moment. So St. Summers had knocked him down. Not Summers. I think it is Summers. Because that's St. Saturn. Yeah, St. Summers. St. Summers got knocked down into the underworld. Anyways, he informs them that they have to go stop Gunko at all costs because her arrow powers are drawing the children toward the ship, and they're being used as pawns to make the other giants submit. That's how we last left off. You know, right now we had the trio. We had the Holy Knights, Gunko using her arrow powers to direct the children in a certain direction. You had St. Killingham having them wrapped around visible thorns, so if their parents try to grab them or stop them, you know, they get cut up. Or if they stop the children run into each other and they'd cut each other up. And then the children were sleeping because of St. Killingham's power, and he was making their imaginary monsters, their worst fears or nightmares come to life. Which some of them was their mothers, which was hilarious, and some of them was like, you know, other monsters and mythical creatures and stuff like that, which they couldn't destroy because, you know, they're monsters, they're fake, they don't exist. And basically, they were trying to get the parents to join the world government. They're like, hey, we're going to use your children as slaves. We're going to make y'all join the world government because we're going to use your children as, like, objects. The world government has done this many times. Dory Bragi, the one in Dressrosa, the ones that guarded in this lobby. You know, they're always tricking the giants. And basically, they're like, if the children get out to sea, if the children get on that boat, the parents will never see them again. Like, we can't stop them. We have to destroy this ship. We have to stop Gunko. We have to stop St. Killingham. And we have to stop St. Summers all at the same time in order to save these children. Chopper then fills him in that he can't, oh yeah, I already talked about this. They can't physically grab him and all stuff like that. Sometimes, like I said, I'd be ahead of my notes. Again, we already knew all this, but the other characters didn't know this. So, like, they're learning this for the first time. And, as the others plan to get to the surface, they come back to a haunting scene for themselves as the upper level is overrun by nightmarish creatures. Like, I think the rest of the Straw Hats are up there on the surface. They're seeing, like, okay, everything is, like, gone crazy up here. And don't forget, like I said, Dorian Brogate and their crew, they were also turned into devils by the order of Emu's power, his Omni Reverse. Oh, yeah, that was the thing. Gunko got possessed by Emu in the previous chapter. And Emu had, done a giant omniverse and had flipped all the 100-year giants, or most of them, or like half of them, into demons. And they were being controlled like, Blackbeard's father, Rox, was at one point. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about the little break. Also, Emu had ordered the 100-year giants possessed by demons to go kill King Jarrell. He was like, hey, while you're at it, go kill your former leader. Go kill Chief Jarrell and finish him off and make him dead. And, they're controlled, so they're just like, oh, okay, let's go do it. Let's go kill him. And then we have the team split up again. Our monster trio. Sanji is going towards the school library to save Nami because Nami was screaming, I think. I think St. Summers was in that area. And then, Chopper, like I said, he's with Luffy and Scopper, Gabin, and Loki at the bottom of the underworld. And then you have Zoro with the other giants fighting the 100-year giants. But, oh yeah, and Brook apparently ran off on his own. So there's multiple areas the Straw Hats are at. So I think they split into 4 groups. But anyways, Brook went off to fight Gunko because I thought it was his child. I thought that's what Oda was implying. And I remember some people posting about like, oh, Brook's always had a daughter. It was always theorized. No, it wasn't, because it's not even Brook's daughter. So that's why you cannot jump to theories. I mean, the Blackbeard theory, there's been, sprinkles of notes. Again, watch all that Blackbeard to Cerberus theory. But Brook having a daughter, that was never teased at all. He never mentioned that. He talks about Laboon, but Brook never mentioned a family. Like Usopp's dad does and whatnot. As the chapter came to a close, Chief Jarrell reveals the truth that we all learned about 14 years ago to everyone. Chief Jarrell's like, hey, before I die, all you have to know is that Loki did not kill his father. All the events were lied to you. Basically, like, everything we learned from Loki's past, Chief Jarrell tells everyone on Elbaf. So now all the other giants are like, oh, wow, I can't believe this Loki. He's actually a good guy. I mean, he's still a menace. He's still a menace, okay? He's still, Dennis the Menace, Loki the Menace, Loki the Trickster. But he is, redeemed of killing his father and stuff like that. And the people that, that he torched for killing his mother, because that also was rightfully done. They killed his mother, Ida, because, or stepmom, Ida, because, like, she was a peasant and, they thought, and they know the truth about his real mama was, like, an evil bitch, But then Chief Jarrell finally announces that Elbaf will become the new enemies of the world government, just as Luffy and the Straw Hats once did when they sailed to Ennis Lobby to save Robin. And Luffy said, "Sniper King, take out that flag," even though it was really Usopp, but we don't talk about that. It was Sogi King, Sniper King. Usopp was not a part of the crew.
This symbol represents the unity of over 170 nations, a power that spans the 4 seas and the Grand Line. This is the world itself!
If that's Robin's enemy, then I know what to do. Sniper King. Shoot down that flag.
Roger.
Behold its awesome power! Special attack! Firebird Star!
No way!
Mission complete.
Those pirates just declared war against the world government! You're all going to die!
Yeah? Bring it on!
But Sogi King or Sniper King had taken out the flag and set it on fire, and they declared war on the world government. And that guy with the elephant Zoro was like, "Oh, you really think you're taking on the world government?" And Luffy's like, "You want to bet, bitch? One Piece be having the moments, bitch. You got One Piece having the moments." Anyways, As the chapter came to an end, Dory and Bragi catch up, and the 100-Year Pirates and Zoro are smirking. Zoro smirks as the 100-Year Giants approach, and Zoro says he has a plan. What this plan was, I didn't know, and again, we will get to that because we're going to talk about all the chapters. But as the chapter continued, Dory and Bragi and the other demonic giants arrived before Chief Jarrell to kill them, even though they themselves wouldn't want to. Like, they don't want to kill Chief Jarrell, but because that demonic power, because of Emu's, like, you know, omniverse, that's what they're thinking. Even though we know somewhere in their consciousness they can still exist, like when Blackbeard had told Roger and Gorp, hey, kill me, stop me, I don't want to leave this island, I don't want to hurt my son, I don't want to kill my wife. And I was like, what was Zoro's plan then? Zoro said he had a plan in the previous chapter. Zoro's plan is to cut him to pieces. So I was like, oh, I got a plan. I'm just going to cut them all up. I'll chop them up. They're demons. They gone. Okay, well, shit, we're going to kill them. And that's exactly what Zoro does. Or maybe not exactly, since they can heal in their demonic forms. But Zoro does understand that enough damage to them while canceling out their conqueror's haki will turn them back to normal. We also learn a little bit later, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but if you do a death blow to the demonic omniverse people or giants or anybody that turns into omniverse, they will revert back to normal. That is why Rocks, it keeps on Blackbeard. That's why Rocks turned back to normal when Gorp and Roger killed him, because he was delivered a death blow. It wasn't that they just canceled out his haki. I mean, yeah, they did, but also killing them, delivering a death blow, cutting off their heads, carving out their heart will bring them back. Their heart will, automatically, whatever damage will automatically be healed because they were demonic at that point, or possessed at that point, but they will turn back to normal. I thought that was a really good twist. But again, we don't learn that just yet, but that's what Zoro does. And he's like, okay, if I cancel out their haki with enough of my own haki, that'll stop them. Meanwhile, Brook has made his way to possess Emo/Gunko, and we learned that Gunko's real name is Princess Shuri. So, and again, this is where I was like, okay, this is not Brook's daughter. This is where we officially learned that, where all those people that made those theories had to probably delete their videos or change their theories and said that they always knew. No, you didn't, because it's not Brook's daughter at all. We learned that Princess Shuri loved Brook's music, but they didn't have a great relationship, as apparently he killed her father. That's the rumor that she was led to believe. I mean, obviously, she cares for Brook to some extent, so she probably knows that that's false, and we know that we know Brook isn't that kind of guy. But again, that's what the women lured us. We don't know who Princess Shuri is. We don't know what Brook had to do with this killing of the father. We only know Brook from his time with the crew and Laboon. So Brook's got another major backstory possibly coming up. We also learned that she should be 80 years old by now, but we know that the Holy Knights stop aging. Brook notices that. So this happened sometime when Brook was probably in his 30s or something like that. I forgot how old Brook is now. I know he's been like a skeleton for like 50 years or something like that. So I'm assuming he was like in his 30s. It might have been the last thing him and his crew did before they, they went off and met Laboon and all that. We don't know. But I do like that Brook's going to get more development and stuff like that. As Brook calls out and speaks to her, Emu can feel her regaining some of her memories, and as she tries to regain control, just as Blackbeard did, whenever he screamed out to, he tried to stop himself, or he had like some of his consciousness when he told his like wife and child to run, like, get out of here, and he told Gorp and Roger again to stop him. So I like that. And she screams for Brook to run. So obviously, if she thought Brook killed her father, she would not tell Brook to run. She'd probably be like, oh, you're the bastard that killed my father. I'm going to kill you. And then probably let Emu take back over her. But she's telling Brook to run. And this brief moment, it temporarily releases her devil fruit powers, which infuriates Emu. And I thought she released her powers on everybody. I thought like the children would stop walking, but they'd still have thorns around them. And I thought like, they'd still be asleep or something like that. But no, she just releases it on the Straw Hat. So she's giving the Straw Hats a fighting chance. Brook is even confused in this moment and demands to know what's going on. He obviously doesn't know, like, she's being possessed by Emu or that she's not really herself. Although I am curious, if she wasn't possessed by Emu, would she still recognize, Brook? Because she's going by Princess, she goes by Gunko, but her name was Princess Shuri. Or maybe it's like her daughter, we don't know. But again, she's having this memory, so I think it is her. It's not like, she's having like her daughter has this memory. Or maybe it is, who knows? But Emu isn't letting Brook intervene again, and then two begin to engage in battle. I was like, this could be interesting. I was like, is Brook going to fight Emu, and Brook's going to awaken, like, his devil fruit even further here? That's what I was curious about. I was like, oh my god, is Brook going to level up? I'm like, I was expecting Usopp to level up all of Elbaf, and that's kind of what we're going to get to at the very end. But I was expecting this to be Usopp chapter. I was like, Usopp arc. I was not expecting Brook to have a whole arc here. Meanwhile, before we get to that battle, the rest of the Straw Hats who were imprisoned by Goku's powers were released at the same time. But Usopp believes that his mental powers broke them free, which is a clever gag and very funny. That, that's just Usopp's personality. I did like that, like a little joke there. Robin, however, is still bound by Saint Summer's thorns, unlike the others, because Robin got, captured by Saint Summer, so the rest of them were captured by Gonko's powers. But Nami can hear Sanji on his way, so we know that Saint Summers and Sanji were going to fight very soon. And then, meanwhile, in a different area, Saint Summers has nearly escorted all the children to the Holy Night ship, and if it succeeds, all the children can end up at sea. And we could lose them forever. Obviously, we can't let that happen, and obviously that's not going to happen. We're going to stop Saint Summers here. I was assuming Sanji would stop him. I think somebody else stops him before Sanji gets there. But the parents have nearly arrived as well, though just before they can reach the creatures, the nightmares that are controlled by Saint Killingham block their path. Because obviously the parents, even though they can't grab their children, and they can't stop Gonko's arrow, if they can destroy the ship in time, that'll work just as well. But the parents are also from the warrior generation, and so the parents are like, hey, we might have stopped being warriors for the last 20 years, but hey, don't forget, we still giants, we still fight. And then parents start fighting the monsters, and the kids are impressed with their parents' strength, because I love that, yes, the parents will do anything to save their kids, that's a parent, parents in those moments, they get this unbelievable strength, I'm not sure the word, it can't be described kind of strength, you hear about mothers, trying to save their children from, heavy rocks or cars, mothers can do that kind of stuff, and parents, I'm sure even dads can do that. So I like seeing that, and the kids can see how much their parents love them and care about them, because even though some of them are scared of their parents, which, that's just a normal kid thing. But there's one final foil to Saint Summer's plan, as the new 3 giant pirates, Goldberg, Shed, whatever her name is, the female one, sure. And then the collector, I forgot his name, they all attack at once and destroy Saint Summer's ship, who stupidly thought their attacks were to attack himself. Saint Summer thought he was going to attack himself, but they didn't even bother to attack him, and they destroyed the ship instead. And now, thankfully, all the children are safe. I thought that was very cute. I really like that. And then one of them was the collector guy that we first met, the first giant. His brother was a part of the children. The rest of them had parents, but the collector guy, he just had a brother that was among the children, and he was happy that his brother came to save him. I thought that was very cute. I love that. And then it was or so we thought, because the plan did, despite the plan succeeded in destroying the ship, the children are still being controlled for some reason by Gonko's arrow, because again, at this point, I thought Gonko's arrow had released everybody, but it still was controlling the children. So basically, they can still walk right off the edge of Elbaf and plummet to their deaths. So the children, they're awake now. They're still marching because of Gonko's arrow. There's no ship to protect them anymore, because the ship has been destroyed, which thank God it is, because if the children got on the ship would sail away, and they'd be gone, we couldn't save them. But now they're still walking, and they're going to fall to their deaths. Now, unless in the next panel, I was thinking her powers will wear off, which would be great, which would get a great reaction from Saint Summers, Gonko's powers suddenly stop. I thought maybe it'd take a little bit longer for Gonko's powers to stop. I was children be saved, but that's not how that ends. I like it better where it ends. I think this is also where you learn about the brother in a second as well. But nope, the parents try to break Gonko's arrow with their weapons, but just because it's devil fruit power, only another devil fruit power can break it, or if you got sea prism stones. So the parents, they know they can't grab the children, because the children are still covered by, Saint Summer's thorns, so they're trying to cut the arrows that are controlling the children, but they can't do it. They don't have their own devil fruit powers, and they don't have a power. Even if they did, they don't have the or hockey. Even if they had hockey, they could cut Gonko's arrow and possibly stop it as well. But without that, they can't do anything about it. And even briefly, Saint Summers was troubled by this, but then we have to remember his sick fantasy of parents and children watching each other die helplessly without being able to embrace themselves, because to him, love is pain. So at first, Saint Summers is oh no, they're going to break the children free. He's wait. Or no, he's no, first he's what? Oh no, the parents are going to break the children free. He's oh no, the children are going to fall to their death. And he's wait. Oh, I'm having an orgasm right now. This is great. The parents are going to watch their children fall to their deaths, and there's nothing they can do about it. And the kids are going to scream because their parents can't save them. Oh, this is orgasmic. He starts going in, okay, about this fantasy of that love is pain. All the children are helplessly walking against their will to their doom, thinking that it's their fault, that they're being punished by God for lying to their parents, stealing from a candy store. Children that blame themselves for things that they think that that might have upset their parents. I think they're blaming themselves for that, like not eating their not eating their vegetables at school or at dinner, or bullying other kids in class. It's very cute and tragic at the same time because, you know, I call it cute because we know they're going to be saved. Obviously, Oda's not going to let these children die, but it's also tragic because, like, I understand the situation, and the situation is still dire, but I love how Oda's portraying this moment, and it made me really hit it. It made me really hit it in the feels. Now, what I did not expect was the mom to step into the path of her son, take her son into her arms. Despite the brute force of St. Summer's thorns cutting her up, she grabs her son, even though it's cutting her up, and they're still invisible and all around the children, but the mother's true love is that she's willing to die for her children. She's like, you know, I can't stop you from walking, but I'm not going to let you die alone. I'm going to die with you. I'm going to be with you the entire time. You're not going to be alone. It made this whole event even more tragic, sad, and I literally... If I didn't know everything would be okay, if I didn't know Oda was a great writer, if this was Tokyo Ghoul, I believe those children would fall to their death with their mother. But because this is One Piece, I knew Oda would save them, and I was just like happy tears. I was like, oh my god, this is so great. This is so cute. I love it. This is amazing storytelling. I was loving how this whole arc was working out with this point in particular. And then the parents fall bloodied and beaten, holding their child, cut up by the thorns, all while the first child yells that, like, you know, don't worry, everyone, everything will turn out fine. Like, she's in her mother's arms. She's like, don't worry, everybody, everything will work out. You just gotta believe. Trying to put on a brave face for everyone as more and more parents hold their children, stabbed by the thorns, and fall to their doom one after another. They're just falling one after another. It was getting crazy. But then it turns out one of the children doesn't have a parent at all. Like, she didn't have anybody there for her. Like, I guess her parents died or something like that. And so I found it very cute that the teacher was there for her. The teacher's like, oh, I know that you're alone. Don't worry, I'm here for you. And she gets cut up and stuff like that. And again, it's just great. It reminds me of Iruka with Naruto. Iruka knew that Naruto didn't have any parents, and Iruka's parents were killed by the Nine-Tailed Fox. But he was still there for Naruto as like a foster brother, or like an older sibling, you know. That's how he looked out for Naruto. And I love that this teacher did that for this child. And then that's when you see that the nerdy giant has a younger brother, and he hugs him as well, because the nerdy younger brother was like, oh, my brother's not coming, my brother's such a loser, my brother will never do anything. And then you see the collector guy like, hold on, bro, I'm coming for you. And then the kid just balls out crying. Fucking amazing, Oda. You are fucking amazing at storytelling and drawing out emotion. This is why I love One Piece. This is why One Piece is so great. I fucking love it. And then they all fall. Everybody has fallen. All the while, Saint Summer just laughing and mocking them, calling the parents, the siblings, the teacher all stupid for not just letting the kids fall to their death. Well, like, you know, of course, you know, I knew they'd be saved, but Saint Summers is just that sick. He's like, oh, I would let my own child fall. That's how much love is pain. You'll die for the people you love. Saint Summers is just sick. I can't wait for him to get his ass kicked. But anyways... so they're now released from, you know, Gunko's thorns because they're gonna be too far out of her reach, out of her powers, and away from her powers. And same for Saint Summers. So as the children and parents are falling, the thorns finally go away. The parents are still bloodied and cut up from the bruises though, and they're just falling down towards the underworld. Which, if you remember, Chopper is down there, Loki is down there, Luffy is down there. And Scopper Gavin. And I knew Chopper was going to save everybody, you know, because that's Chopper. And then it turns out they are saved by whatever this mysterious devil fruit is. Loki has turned into, oh yeah, this is where we see a shadow, whatever Loki's turned into. He's like some kind of giant monster. And then Gear 5th Luffy, I knew that Luffy would be there to save him. Loki like turned into like a giant balloon and a gum balloon, and like they all fell on his belly, so they're all safe and soft. And like, hey, what's this thing down here? What's a soft belly or whatever? And Luffy's like, hey, get off my stomach, you know, something like that. But then I was like, we're finally going to see Loki's true form. You're teasing it, Oda. What is this true form that Loki got? And then on the surface of Elbaf, it begins to thunder and snow, and the sound of liberation can be heard. The sound of Luffy, you know, the beating of his drum. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, we knew Luffy was coming. Gear 5th was coming. Imu, for the first time, is about to witness his rival, and the children will see the return of Joy Boy. You know, the hero of liberation that they've all heard about. And then the chapter ends with Luffy, Joy Boy, riding on what I thought at first was a hellhound, so I thought it ruined my Blackbeard theory. I was like, okay, if Loki is the hellhound, you know, obviously, you know, Blackbeard could still be Cerberus, but I was like, I just couldn't tell because they also had wings. But it turns out it's not a hellhound. It's not a Cerberus. It's some kind of new giant dragon. I'm going to butcher the name. I'm going to tell you that now when we get to that. But yeah, it's a Greek god dragon. We're going to get to that in a second. But as the chapter continues, we find out that yes, it was Sanji that saved Robin by, cutting her free with his flaming Diable Jambe kick. So Sanji went to save Robin first, cut her free of the storms, as well as Saul, the giant who Robin, met as a kid back on Oda. But more importantly, he's the counter to Saint Summer's Thorns, as Saint Summer's weakness is heat, he says. So I was like, okay, Sanji's definitely going to be his opponent. That's what I was thinking. I was going, okay, we're lining up who the Holy Knights are going to fight. It doesn't turn out like this, but I was thinking Sanji's going to fight Saint Summers. Also back at Luffy and the others, he meets up with Zoro, and it's confirmed that all the hostages are now safe thanks to Sanji, Loki, and thanks to Sanji and Loki. But Saint Summers ain't having all that shit. So Saint Summers is still around. Saint Summers is watching all this. He's like, how dare you save the children? How dare you, destroy our ship, and then you freed Robin? Oh, hell no, I'm about to take all y'all out. And it's also confirmed here that Loki is some kind of dragon. It's called the mythical fruit Nignor. I'm not sure again how to say it. I told you I'd butcher it. But in Saint Summer's mind, that means his plan hasn't failed yet, because so long as the children are alive, he can just take them as hostages again. So Saint Summer's like, okay, the children didn't die, the children didn't get on the ship, but the fact that the children are still alive, we'll just take them as hostages. They'll become slaves to the world government. They'll grow up and they'll learn our ways. We'll torture them till they learn it. So now Saint Summer's like, okay, I ain't fuck up just yet. I can still fix this. And then he'll just kill their parents because they're half dead anyway. Because remember, the parents are cut up by the thorns. Their thorns have released them. Their thorns are gone now, but the parents are half dead. So the parents can't stop me. He's like, it's all their fault that they decided to step up and not sacrifice their lives to save, to die for their children. If the parents had just let the children die, Saint Summer's like, y'all could have been the ones that replaced your children, but now I'm just gonna take the children hostage, and they're gonna join the world government. And then he hilariously laughs, and I was just like, oh my god, this man is so sick. Saint Summers is so sick in the head. But you need those characters, just like the Celestial Dragons. You need characters like that so we can hate them. And then it turns out that it's Zoro who actually takes down Saint Summers, not Sanji. But I think Zoro cuts him up. And then Sanji punches him with a single punch that knocks Saint Summers' eyes out. So Saint Summers just got beat by both two of the monster trio. And I love the expression on his face as his eyes pop out. And then Loki also does a finishing blow. So he just got hit by everything. Zoro cut him up, Luffy punched him, and then Loki blew some lightning or fire on him. But it turns out Loki is the largest dragon in the world. That's his devil fruit. Its maximum size depends on the person who eats it. So if a human eats it, you become a human-sized dragon. If a giant eats it, you become basically Loki's size. And we know that Loki is one of the tallest giants there are. So basically Loki is this massive dragon, and he can breathe lightning. But the reason why he also has ice powers is because the hammer, the squirrel actually has ice powers, and the hammer, I think the squirrel ate the hammer or became one with the hammer, so now the squirrel is the hammer, and the squirrel has ice powers like flash ice. It's One Piece, you just gotta go with it. Again, I'm jumping around a little bit, but yeah, we're gonna get to all that in a second. He's also an obsidian dragon who is so big that when he flies across the sky, day turns to night. So I think it's trying to say Loki is such a huge dragon that by the time he flies across the sky, the day, it's already nighttime. 12 hours have passed. That's how long he's supposed to be. That's the lore it's trying to say. We also then learned that the sun god Nika and the warrior god, basically Loki, a giant that had the hammer and the scroll fought by his side, the hammer Ragnar, or Iron Lightning, aided by the squirrel that breathed ice named Radasuk. They used to battle Nika the Sun God. And like I said, yeah, this lore's getting crazy. So now we got a giant that had a hammer called Ragnar. And he had a partner squirrel that could freeze ice. You can't make this shit up. But once the Squirrel of Master died, it ate the hammer or became the hammer, and it waited to protecting that devil fruit, that dragon fruit, until it could find a proper master that was worthy, and it decided that Loki was worthy, so now he's teamed up with Loki, making Loki all the more powerful, all the more dangerous, and that is the power that Emu desired. Emu desired, 1, the squirrel and the hammer, and then 2, the dragon fruit that would make him the largest dragon, the strongest dragon that can breathe lightning. Now, while all these battles are happening, Vegapunk and Frankie are working on storing up a new energy that will help Frankie level up. We later learn it's something that he calls like Super Cola, or Frankie calls Super Cola, and it'll basically put him on the same level as a pacifista. That's what Vegapunk tells him. The female Vegapunk, I forgot the evil Vegapunk, I'm gonna just call her evil Vegapunk. Well, we already got evil Vegapunk. That's York. Our Vegapunk right now, our temporary Vegapunk. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew, Nami and Zeus, are working to put up the fire spreading to the library that is from Loki's chaotic power, like, unleashing his lightning and unleashing his, like, ice powers. Like, I guess his lightning created fire because, Elbaf is basically a tree. And I think St. Summers and St. Killingham and Gunko had also, lit a fire trying to destroy all the books from Oda about the Void Center and stuff like that, which we still know nothing about. Void Center is still another major mystery, but I thought we were going to learn about that very soon. But then Vegapunk uses her new invention to freeze the ice temporarily to stop the books from burning in the library, as well as some of the fire around Elbaf. It's kind of confusing because it's also described that, like, Ratasoak did this as well, the squirrel. So I'm guessing both of them did it. They both froze the fire or whatever. Emu is. I'm also briefly forgetting that St. Killingham summoned a monster, like a imaginary monster eat Zeus, because Nami and Zeus were like creating a giant rainstorm to put out the fire around Elbaf. And so, to stop Zeus, St. Killingham, like, summons, like, a monster to eat Zeus. And Zeus is like, oh, Nami, save me, it's dark. And that's only temporary because Sanji kicks St. Killingham in the head with the Diabe Jambe. Jinbei and Frankie, using his Super Cola, punches the giant monster and releases Zeus. So, that took no time. And now St. Killingham is down, too. So, really, all the stuff is Gunko, possessed by Emu. It's this really awesome panel. It's really awesome to seeing all these Holy Knights get their ass kicked. Like Brooke took her own Emu / Gunko / Princess Shuri. Sanji freed Nami, Robin using his Diable Jambe, then kicked the shit out of St. Killingham. Zoro, Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, and Loki whooped St. Summers' ass. I was like, damn, these Holy Knights ain't shit. We then swap over to Dory and Boggy, who are still under the Omni-World spell and are forced against their will to, like, still try to kill Chief Jarrell. But like Blackbeard before them, as I said, they're trying to fight back. So in order to stop themselves from killing Chief Jarrell, they look at each other like, hey, Dory, Boggy, with the last of our strength, let's kill each other. Let's not go out like, let's go out like how we want to go out. Let's not go out because this demon's trying to do it. So they kill each other. Also, I forgot King Harold also had a little bit of himself in control when he told Loki to kill him. So that's pretty cool. And then that's when the secret gets out. By dealing a killing blow, you can release the Omni World. So Zoro, yes, his Conqueror's Haki did also, cancel out the Giants, demon versions, but also he delivered a killing blow, so that also brought him back. So yeah, Chief Dory and Braga are like, oh, all they do is kill each other and we can bring each other back? Oh, we're about to have some fun with this. All you gotta do is receive it, and I already talked about this. So hilariously, all the 100 giant pirates and Zoro are happy to go on a killing spree, preparing to kill their friends. Like, hey, remember when you ate my food? Hey, remember when you played that prank on me? Like, they're like, I'm about to kill your ass. It's time for you to die. And they know they're gonna be okay because again, it's a dark humor, dark comedy, or dark panel, but humorous because even though they die, as long as they're in this dynamic form and they deliver a killing blow, they'll just come back and they'll be healed. So, Chief Jarrell's like, I understand that this is necessary, but you guys are really looking really too eager to do this. But also, this is where we learn something crazy. Chopper apparently can change people back from the Omniverse world by simply touching them or punching them. This is not explained at all in these 3 chapters. I'm going to say it now. Or these 3 remaining chapters, I'm saying now. But I'm super curious to why this happens. Does this mean that Chopper has another hidden power in this human fruit? Or maybe it's because it's called human fruit, like, all it takes is that. Is he the perfect counter to Emu? Is Chopper going to help defeat Emu? Is Chopper's bounty going to stop being a joke from 50 bounties to 100 berries and become this massive giant bounty like the rest of them? I really want to know. I have a feeling Chopper's going to get a massive jump in his bounty at the end of this chapter, at the end of this arc. I have a feeling Chopper's bounty is going to go skyrocketing. I really feel like that's going to happen. But until then, we have now confirmed to have defeated St. Killingham with Sanji, Frankie, and Jinbei tying him up and keeping his body parts separate, kind of like Buggy the Clown, because even though the Holy Knights are undead or they are mortal, their body parts are still trying to come back together. So they're like, hey, as long as we keep his body separate, he can't regenerate. So we don't do like we do with Buggy the Clown, just keep them separate. The gang then all meets up with Luffy and Loki, and Nami immediately and hilariously yells at Loki for spreading more fire that she was having Zeus put out. She's like, hey, you idiot, stop blasting all your lightning everywhere. Zeus is trying to put all these fires out, and your lightning is just making it worse. And then Luffy and the squirrel feel bad for a moment. The squirrel like places the hand on Luffy's shoulder like, oh, I'm sorry, man. And then Luffy's like, hey, Loki, you got me on it, you fucking idiot. How dare you? I should beat your butt. And then Loki like breathes lightning on Luffy. He's like, hey, why didn't that work on you? And like with Luffy's like, well, I'm a rubber man. I made a rubber. Of course it didn't work. And we know that back since he fought Enel, and even Big Mom was confused. But yeah, it's because Luffy's made of rubber. But I love that gag all the same. We then flash back over to Brook and Usopp where they are facing off against Gunku, possessed by Emu. And I love that Usopp always gets these cool scenes and speeches, but I feel like he should have leveled up in Elbaf. We're seeing levels up from Brook. We're seeing levels up from Sanji. We're seeing it from Zoro. Finding out that he's always constantly leaking Conqueror's Haki and not even realizing it. Chopper touching these devil fruit guys, touching these demonic guys and turning them back to normal with his power. Frankie getting super cola. I'm like, Usopp, where was your level up? You wanted to come to Elbaf. This was your island. This was your arc. This is what I'd always talked about since you joined the crew. Coming to this arc. You're the one that convinced Dory and Braga to stop fighting. You're the one that saved those giants in Enies Lobby. You're the one that saved the giant in Dressrosa. I'm like, when are you going to have a moment, Usopp? You have these cool speeches. Every movie, you'll notice that Usopp is the last one conscious and always giving a speech. And I love that. I feel like Usopp is one of Oda's favorite characters. But I'm like, Usopp, I really hope you level up for real by the end of this chapter. I want to see you do something crazy. Just like Usopp. Just like Chopper. He does at least stand bravely and fire a powerful attack at Gunko/Emu point blank range / Princess Shuri. But because they have immortal bodies, it doesn't really damage her. Emu's not even phased. He just starts regenerating automatically. And then Usopp and Brook are downed off screen, but it's okay because Loki and Luffy arrive to face off with Emu once and for all. Now this again was another great stopping point I wanted to talk about. But I was like, let me wait, because I have a feeling we would see Emu's face very soon. So I just told myself to wait, be patient, And then Luffy is pissed off that Emu not only attacked his best friend Usopp, because we know Luffy cares about Usopp a lot. We know that since he joined the crew, and that Luffy met Usopp's dad, and Yasopp used to talk about Usopp all the time. And on top of that, Luffy let Usopp draw the flag initially, or paint the flag. The Jolly Roger. Usopp was the one that helped him get that gift of the original Going Merry. Usopp is in Luffy's original poster. Like, we know Usopp and Luffy have a great connection and stuff like that. But as the battle prepares to begin, Emu kindly lets Luffy drop off Brook and Usopp. And Nami, Sanji, Jinbei, and they're all back together. And I think Zoro's there too. And I was like, how nice of Emu to just let Luffy go drop off his friends. Like, Emu didn't immediately just attack Luffy off the bat. He's like, hey, you ain't to take your friends nowhere. He let Luffy go drop his friends off and come back. That's very nice of you. That's very kind of you, Emu. You ain't such a bad bitch after all. Loki, however, starts without Luffy, and he blasts Emu. But Emu expels himself from Gunko's body, so he lets Gunko's body get obliterated while Emu floats up to the sky. And then he tries to use Domini Reverse on both Loki and Luffy, turning them into demons. He tries to, but I already knew that wouldn't happen. I knew Luffy would be immune because of Joy Boy. And I had a feeling if it wouldn't work on Luffy, it wouldn't work on Loki. And as I turn the page, it is confirmed that it doesn't work on them, and Emu begins to say that they are something. It can't be the D, it can't be Davy, because we already know that they have D in their name, but it's something about them that Omniverse doesn't work on them. And again, now that we know Chopper can turn everybody back to normal, I have a feeling it's not going to work on the Straw Hats, because Chopper would just turn his friends back to normal. So I have a feeling Chopper's bounty is going to go, again, jump. We have to see how this fight's going to go. We have to see what's going to happen in this fight, but I have a feeling Chopper's going to be a pain in Emu's ass. But anyways, Loki and Luffy both destroy Emu's body like Roger, Gorp, Big Mom, and Kaido, Whitebeard, and Rox once did back a few chapters ago, which was a very crazy, amazing panel. That was in that backstory we had got, and it was cool as fuck. And again, it's cool as fuck here. Loki then freezes what's left of Emu in ice using the Ratasock, or the squirrel / hammer's power. And it can only be melted. This is where we learn it. Only the squirrel can melt his ice if the squirrel melted it. So Emu's just frozen in that state. And Luffy deflates because he's been fighting Joy Boy for a while. So, you know, he turns to the old man. Like before, Gear 3rd, he turns to a little kid. But now in Gear 5th, he like shrinks to the old man. He's looking like deflated, so he needs food. Meanwhile, Nami and Zeus continue to put out fires all around Elbaf with Vegapunk's help. And the villagers now learning the truth about Loki and not killing King Harold accept the truth, but they still think he's a menace. He's still a menace. Now, this is where I was kind of getting disappointed. This is where in the chapter I was like, is Elbaf over? Is this arc over? Egghead Island, we learned a lot of great lore, but Egghead Island felt way too short. And then here, I was like, Elbaf, great lore, especially with Whitebeard, Blackbeard, Warp, the God Valley incident. Great fucking lore. Amazing, especially about King Harold. But I was like, it feels like it's very short. So I was like, is that how this ends with a whimper? It started out, in the middle was kind of weird. The middle was amazing, great. Love the backstory. But I was like, is the ending going to end like this? I was like, the Holy Knights barely did anything. They got their asses whooped. Emu, we still didn't see his real form. So I was kind of feeling disappointed. And then, you know, I was excited about Chopper's new fruit, though. And then, that Usopp, that Chopper, we don't know what his power is, you know. Or I know that Usopp didn't, level up. I was explaining that. We then flash over to Zoro, Dory, Bragi, and the other 100-year pirates fighting the remaining Omniverse giants, and their numbers are dwindling, but because they have to deliver killing blows to turn them back to normal, they're kind of getting exhausted. And Zoro was ready to finish one more off when Chopper just comes through and punches them, and they all turn back to normal. And they're like, hey, how did you do that, Chopper? And Chopper's like, I had no idea. I just simply touched them and they turn back to normal. And I like this joke that Zoro's like, is it because you're such a good doctor? And Chopper's like, stop it. That's not going to make me happy, you bastard. You know how Chopper is, that little cute self. So I was like, yeah, Chopper's going to be dangerous to Emu. I don't know how yet, but I have a feeling Chopper's bounty is going to jump. It's going to skyrocket after this arc. And lastly, Saul and Robin return to the library to find the books of Oda are gone and the library is frozen over, but also the owl is missing. So they're like, okay, maybe the owl escaped with the books of the Void Century. So they're like, they don't know where the owl is. They're assuming that he got away with it. So again, I was like, okay, maybe the arc's not over yet because, you know, there's still some things to wrap up. But the battle did seem a bit over, so that's where I was like, in my notes, even I put in here, I thought I was feeling a bit disappointed. But that's when we see something strange. A steel heart falls out of the head of St. Summers, and Emu, still frozen in that consciousness, and sees a weakened body of Joy Boy. Like, Emu's like, okay, St. Summers' steel heart just fell out, and Joy Boy looks weak. Now might be my time to retaliate. And I knew that Emu in this moment would seize this chance to try to kill Luffy, you know, try to kill Joy Boy. So I was like, okay, Emu's face is definitely about to be revealed. I had a feeling before the chapter ended. And then, as the chapter ends, Emu says to the Gorosei, the 5 elders, like, I'll be leaving the Sacred Holy Land for a while. And they're like, what? They're all shocked. That's how the chapter ended. So I knew we had to do one more chapter before we ended. So we're almost done with the video. I know it's a bit long, but just hang on there for a little bit more, like 10 more minutes. Anyways, so you heard that right. Emu is going to Elbaf. Now, I knew this would be one hell of a finale. I knew, this would be great. Because the one thing I remember at Egghead Island was that the 5 elders finally showed up. We got to see them in fight. We got to see their, demonic forms. And I knew we would finally see Emu's real form. We are in the end game of One Piece, like Oda said. About 5 more years left. That's what Oda said at one point. I have a feeling Oda's ready to wrap this up. He's dropping the lore. He's telling us everything. It's coming. It's coming fast. It's coming quick. You gotta be ready for the end of One Piece. I have a feeling we're gonna be done sometime soon in the next 2-3 years. Anyways, the 5 elders, however, are displeased with Emu's plan. But who can deny the king of the world? You can't tell the king of the world what to do. This man sat on the throne of kings, the empty throne with 20 Zords in the ground. He sat on the throne of kings that no one's supposed to sit on. The empty throne, Emu sat on this throne that rules the world. In fact, St. Gallen comes in and tells them that this must happen. Though Shamrocks has returned to stop the revolutionary army who were trying to starve the celestial dragons. They came there, destroyed the food supply, freed the slaves. He did succeed in calming the celestial dragons down a little bit, but they still are running out of food. They're gonna starve to death if they don't get more food. Meanwhile, don't forget about Vegapunk York. This is why I said we ain't gonna call her evil Vegapunk, the other one that's with the Straw Hats. York is still with the world government, and they're like, hey, we need that Mother Flame up and running. Like, you need to get that shit where it can be used by us, so we can have a endless supply of eternal energy, which Emu wants and the world government wants to possess. Like, if we get our hands on eternal energy, the Mother Flame, then we can rule the world. We can be unstoppable. We can probably control the ancient weapons. Which, again, we don't even know what the ancient weapons are. We know one of them is Shirahoshi, but are the other two ancient weapons people? We don't know yet. We don't know. We have not seen the other two ancient weapons. We know one is in Wano. We know that. But anyways, and I believe one is land. I believe one is sky, land, and sea. That's what I believe that the ancient weapons are. Maybe the ancient weapon might be Emu. We might find out. But it's so much lore. That's all I can think about. It's like, I love it. There's so much lore always being built around here. The 5 elders asked to step back in place of Emu like they did on Ekata Island, but seeing how they got their asses handed to them, Emu was like, this is bigger than y'all's pride. Y'all already lost on Ekata Island. You had your chance to stop the Triad. You had your chance to stop Joy Boy. You all lost. I'm stepping out on the Holy Land now. This is my turn to step out there. So Emu then heads to Elbaf despite their protests. Also, he wants Princess Vivi because she has some relationship to the Davy clan. I think it's like Nefari. Nefari D. Vivi is like her ancestor. Now, because of something we learned, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Because of something we learned that he's an actual demon, I was wondering, did Nefari, the first Vivi, Vivi's ancestors, did she promise him her first daughter? Is there some kind of demonic deal that went on? Like how you promise your firstborn to a demon and they offer you riches or something like that? I don't know. I ain't saying she did that, but it would fit the lore if he's a demon, but there could be more to it. Oda's very creative. But meanwhile, Zoro notices a steel heart that fell out of Saint Summer's head, and he's like, hey, I wonder if we destroy these steel hearts, will it stop their immortal bodies? And you can see that it's confirmed because Saint Summers is like, what? He ain't trying to say nothing, but, he's like, oh shit, they found my weakness. And the steel hearts lie in their foreheads. It was given, because I just finished Demon Slayer last year, it was given Muzan's power, how Muzan has 7 hearts and 5 brains. You destroy all those, you kill Muzan completely. I was like, hey, I ain't saying Oda took that idea, or because we're not reinventing the wheel. Everything's been done before. You just put your own spin on it. But I was like, maybe Oda had the same spin on it. I love it. I love that we now know how to kill these Holy Knights for good. But we then flash back over to Loki and Luffy replenishing themselves of food, and this is where we learned that the Squirrel's power is the one that can freeze the ice, which I already talked about. But right now we got bigger problems, as a giant Domini reverse circle has appeared in the sky, and everything around it is getting turned demonic. Houses, plants, anything. It's kind of like Big Mom's power, like how she puts her soul in everything and it comes to life. That's what Emu's power is doing with this giant demonic circle in the sky. And then it happens. I knew it was going to be the arrival of Emu. He lands, bitch, in Elbaf. And the first thing that I have is Emu spits up blood. And Oda doesn't explain it just yet, but Oda plants seeds. Oda don't just do nothing for no reason. Oda is planting seeds, just like he planted seeds that Blackbeard is a Cerberus. Watch my Blackbeard is Cerberus video. I'm telling you, watch it. I'm going to tag it. But Oda is planting seeds that maybe Emu can't live in our world because of certain things. Maybe that's why he needs another flame. Maybe that's why he needs ancient weapons. Maybe there's something he needs from Princess Vivi that'll allow him to live in our world or something like that. But then we finally see it. Saint Roma Emu's true form. His power is the devil, the king of the world. He is indeed a demon. And I'm saying it now. I said it so many times. Blackbeard is going to be a Cerberus. Anyways, that's all for this video. I don't have anything else to say. I know it's about pretty long, but it's been a while since we talked about One Piece. I think, for theories in the upcoming chapters, Chopper's bounty is about to skyrocket. Chopper is going to be a counter to Emu somehow. I'm hoping Usopp does something. I want Usopp to level up so badly in this arc. I'm hoping we maybe not kill, but destroy these steel hearts. Maybe the Holy Knights ain't gotta die that way, but we destroy the steel hearts and then they become mortal, and now they're afraid. Now they know hey, I ain't gonna fight the Strats, I'm gonna get my ass whooped. We destroy the steel hearts, so they just lose their immortal bodies. And then fourth, I want to see a good fight between Luffy, Loki, and Emu, or maybe all the Straw Hats will join. That'd be dope. You know, there was a game, One Piece Red, the game where all the strides fight against a vampire guy with Luffy. Dope. Fucking dope. Game was terrible, but dope idea that all the strides fight together with Luffy against one person. I love that. Anyways, that's all this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about my theory that Chopper's bounty is about to skyrocket? What do you think about my theory that Blackbeard is a Cerberus? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.